This video is going to be covering the topic of corrective actions. A while ago, I had a realization where it seems to me that all actions are corrective in nature, where we judge reality or an aspect of reality to be false or wrong, and we attempt to correct it via action. This can be in a negative and a positive light, where, for example, an obvious negative example may be I am ill, which is wrong, therefore I need to take medicine to become healthy again. This action is a result of the judgment that illness is wrong and incorrect or detrimental, and that health is superior to illness, and that health essentially trumps illness and is more correct, is objectively more correct, rather than just a perception and a judgment of a human who wants to survive and is programmed to survive, right? So that's a negative example. A positive example would be, or an example where people would say is a positive action, which may not be corrective, they may say. For example, you're feeling happy and you want to celebrate by having a party, or you want to go on holiday to enjoy yourself. This may not seem like it's an action that's correcting anything, but even this, right? The judgment and the assumption is that if one is happy, they must celebrate, or they must go on holiday to enjoy themselves. Essentially, one is assuming that action trumps non-action, and that these positive emotions must be expressed through action externally. Of course, this is up for debate whether all actions are corrective or not. This video is not necessarily trying to persuade you that all actions are corrective in nature. I actually wanted to dive deeper into how we could overcome and let go of certain destructive actions which we are currently partaking in due to such assumptions. So as I said, I'm not trying to persuade you that all actions are corrective. However, if this thesis is correct, then I want to also posit a certain loop which is a result of this, where, for example, I'll explain right now. Judgment breeds corrective action. Corrective action breeds more circumstances or results which can be judged as wrong, which leads to more corrective action. Therefore, if judgment is continuous, this is an indefinite cycle of unending, futile corrective action. The more one tries to fix the reality, the more broken it becomes, which leads to an indefinite needing of fixing it. So if what I'm saying is correct, and all actions are corrective in nature, then as long as one is judging any aspect of reality, karma will be generated indefinitely, and karma is simply action. And if all action is corrective in nature, as long as one is judging reality, one will always be trying to correct it, and one's engagement in trying to correct reality through incomplete action, since all actions are incomplete, one will never be able to indefinitely fix reality. You could say, for example, that you may fix a certain aspect of reality, however, it will always break again over time. So, in a sense, it's as if we are trying to we are trying to restore order through our actions, through our corrective actions. However, if we do not keep on engaging in these corrective actions indefinitely, then chaos will soon ensue over time. And this leads to us being in a certain situation where you, in a sense, have to keep on juggling the balls. And if you ever stop, the balls will fall and hit the ground. So, if we are to accept this idea that all actions are corrective in nature, and as long as one is judging reality, one will always be engaged in corrective action, and one's karma will never be unwound, there are two options. Either one performs no corrective action at all, which some yogis and spiritual people do, where they essentially just sit down in one place for the rest of their life. Perhaps they may consume food and do the bare necessity survival actions just to maintain the body, but other than that they engage in no action, and they simply sit until they die. And they essentially tried to engage in no corrective action in the hope that they will breed no further karma by ceasing to judge reality, and therefore ceasing to try and fix reality, which will, as a result, no longer feed into this feedback loop, which will just cause more problems and more aspects of reality which need to be fixed as a result of your actions. However, if one was to take this to the extreme or to the absolute level, you would actually die, and you couldn't even justify performing survival activities, because even the actions of consuming food, sleeping, and basic survival activities, these are also being fueled by certain judgments and assumptions that life trumps death, and that it is better to be alive than to be dead. And if one is looking at reality from an ultimate sense, with no biases in a completely symmetrical fashion, then one cannot say that life trumps death. And it would not be better to survive for longer. If one was to survive 10, 20, 50 or 80 more years, it would not objectively be better than dying tomorrow. So really, if you want to live, if you want to continue living, and you want to live in a particular way, then you have to accept that you must engage in corrective action. Perhaps one can accept this and engage in corrective action while still trying to limit the corrective action which one engages in, since one understands that corrective action simply breeds more action indefinitely. However, how do we choose which actions to engage in and which actions not to engage in? How do we choose what aspects of reality are valid to correct, or at least to attempt to correct, and which aspects of reality we should allow to perish? I'll probably make a separate video discussing that. However, if one has picked a particular aspect of reality, for example, you want to escape a toxic relationship or a destructive addiction or a detrimental situation that you found yourself in. Essentially, any form of action which, as you attempt to fix reality through this action, you are essentially breaking and corrupting your reality further, which causes you to go into this indefinite downward spiral of trying to keep on fixing reality and breaking reality in the process. So if one picks such a particular action which one wants to transcend, in a sense, what we must do is identify the core assumptions and judgments which lead to these actions. I have some examples. Let's say, for example, because a lot of these addictions, these destructive addictions for humans, a lot of them are tied in with dopamine. So let's just say with a broad scope of dopamine, you want to overcome dopamine addiction. These are some assumptions and core judgments and root judgments which may be leading to you engaging in these actions. So I'll give you this list and you can contemplate them and also create your own lists. Give me one moment. So the first on the list, for example, it could be, I am bored, which is wrong. Therefore, let me seek excitement and entertainment, which is right, via corrective action and be rid of my boredom. So essentially, your judgment and assumption is the belief that entertainment and excitement trumps boredom and lack of stimulation. You genuinely believe, at a subconscious level, that boredom is wrong. You don't like boredom and you want to be excited, you want to be entertained. And since you hold this asymmetrical assumption and judgment, this is what causes you to perform some of these addictions, in a sense, to try and eradicate the boredom which you have judged and condemned, and attain the excitement and entertainment which you put on a pedestal. Another could be, for example, nothing new is happening, which is wrong. Let me seek novelty through corrective action. So, for example, you believe and you hold the assumption that novelty is greater than and trumps the mundane. Another assumption is incompletion is wrong. Let me seek completion via action and be rid of my incompletion. So, as you can see, and I have more examples, but all of these examples are always dualistic, where there's one aspect of reality which you are condemning and another aspect of reality which you desire and you hold as being correct, and you are trying to escape one aspect of reality by chasing another. Another core belief could be that I am not already at the desired destination or outcome. So you believe that you are not already where you want to be. You believe that you only arrive at your desired destination after you fulfill these particular conditions or you perform these particular actions. Another belief could be that your present actions are deterministically caused and bound by your past actions. This core belief may result in you relapsing or re-engaging in certain destructive actions, even if you know them to be wrong and you desire to stop engaging in them. This core assumption, which will be more deep in your subconscious than your surface layer desire to overcome the addiction, will cause you to re-engage, because you believe at a fundamental level that you do not have the power or of will or choice to choose what actions you partake in the current moment, because you already assume at a subconscious level that the actions you've performed in the past have already predetermined what actions you are going to take now, meaning that you have no say in the matter at all. And in a sense, it's like you're just you're bound by causation. So it's as if there's a row of dominoes and each domino is hitting the next, and whatever actions you're performing now is inevitable because of the actions you've already performed. And if you hold that core assumption, then you will never be able to disengage with certain particular actions or traits about yourself which were present in the past, because it will seem that there's nothing you can do about it. You're just a victim of causality. So these are some examples. There are many other examples. You can come up with your own list for certain core assumptions, and they'll all be different. See, this was a very generalized list, but they'll all be different depending on the particular action. But I hope that can kind of help you see where I'm going with that and follow along with that yourself, depending on your own particular conditions. So, and once you've identified the core assumptions that are manifesting at your unconscious and subconscious level, which are as a result causing these actions on the conscious level, you must essentially write them down, look at them, and really contemplate them and question them very deeply. So much so, hopefully, to reach a point where you no longer hold these assumptions. The thing is that it may not be that all your assumptions are incorrect. Some of these assumptions that you hold may actually be correct. However, many of them may be incorrect. So you just want to question them. In a sense, you want to try your hardest to undermine them, because you already believe them subconsciously. So you don't need any help in believing them. And if they're true, they'll remain true whether you believe them or not. So right now, don't try and defend them. Don't try and justify why your assumptions are correct. Try to undermine them. Try to see why they might not be correct. And if they aren't, then hopefully you'll be able to decipher those and no longer engage in these core judgments which result in these actions which you no longer want to perform. So yeah, I think that covers that episode, and I'll make another video probably in the future about how we can decide which corrective actions that we should try to disengage with, which ones are valid to engage with, so on and so forth. I don't have all the answers, but I'm just kind of working through this myself, pondering myself, sharing these ideas and insights with you guys, and you guys can also let me know what you think, what you've come up with. And yeah, I hope that's been of value. I think I'll leave that video there. So cheers.